Silk Road, and it sold $2 billion worth of merchandise in only 2 years. Okay, so in 2014, my years may be off. In 2014, I think, or 13 or 12, I went to a party. And I met this guy there named Ross. And he was pretty good looking and tall, and so he definitely kind of stood out because it was all nerds. And we just started talking, and I was flirting with this girl. And he swoops in and takes her home. Nice. And I was like, oh, Ross. And so I started talking to him and friended him online and whatever. And
friended him online?
On Facebook.
That's what I do when you win.
Well, I wasn't angry at him.
My friend.
Because I wasn't angry at him because I was like, damn, he was pretty charming. Whatever. Became friends with him. He turns out he lived down the street from me. Well, a few months later, I walk home and I walk by the library that I live next door to, and there's all these police there. And I go home and find out what happened. And I had heard of this thing called the Silk Road. I'd heard about this. I knew about this for about a year or two. And I go home and I look up what happened. And they go, Ross Ulbricht was arrested, and for being the founder of Silk Road. And I was like,
explain Silk Road if you don't know what it is.
So Silk Road, it was like eBay but for drugs and murder, and you could buy anything online and use Silk Road. And it sold $2 billion worth of merchandise in only 2 years. And Ross was the sole owner. And now, if we look at Bitcoin price, he had roughly $10 billion in Bitcoin that he had made.
And it got seized, or he has it? He's in jail? What happened?
And so what happened was he was at his library, or at the library next door to my house, the Glen Park Library, and he was upstairs on the computer doing deals or whatever, running the business. And the feds had been tracking him, and he tried to kill. Like he did a couple of hired hits,
Jeez.
Where he tried to get someone killed, but the person on the other end was an FBI agent, so they went and staged the murders, and he did that multiple times. So he thought he had killed 3 or 4 guys.
Right.
And when I got home, I looked it up. I was like, "Holy shit, that's Ross! I know Ross. He was this guy the whole time."
And so you had hung out with him before?
Yeah.
And what was he, a cool guy? Did he say? What did you ask? What do you do?
Yeah, he was just a guy, just a charming like.
Did you know he ran?
I looked him up on LinkedIn. He said he was a equities trader, or like a bank, like some.
Technically true.
Yeah, and like I had friends on Facebook, and he was like, "Hey everyone, I'm selling my truck for $2,000." When he had tens of millions of dollars of Bitcoin, right. And I go to my office the next day. I talk to this guy named Billy. I go, Billy, did you hear about this Ross guy, this Silk Road thing? And Billy, his father was Tim Draper.
Right.
And I go, Billy, this thing, your dad has talked about this Bitcoin thing. And he goes, yeah, I saw that guy get arrested. He's buying a lot of it. And I was like, should I? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, well, I don't know anything about this Bitcoin thing. But if your dad says to do it, sounds good to me. So I went and bought a little bit of it. And then for each family member that year in 2013, I bought like $200 of Bitcoin for each family member as their present. And they all laughed at me. And then a few years ago, when I got the $20,000, they each made like $5,000.
Right.
And that was how I heard about Bitcoin.
That's amazing. And so Tim Draper ended up buying all the seized Bitcoin, I think. It was like
$20 million worth of Bitcoin.
I think it was more than that, dude. I think it was like in the hundreds. I think it was like $200 million of Bitcoin or something.
I don't remember.
Maybe
I think his initial purchase at the time was $20 million, and it ballooned to billions.
I see. Okay.
And he bought it from the government.
And he bought it like at a discount, essentially, to the market, right?
I think he paid $20 million. But this is all public. And that is how I found out about Bitcoin.